Okay, please tell me I'm not the only one that seems to collect a large amount of plastic grocery bags. Currently, this is how I'm storing them, and it's not working. It looks unappealing, and it's clunky. It just is bulky, and I don't like it. So I was scrolling through Ravelry and Pinterest, just looking for inspiration and ideas, and I came upon these really cute crocheted plastic bag holders. They are gorgeous, but the patterns have a very clear disclaimer that they do not want people to make videos of their patterns. So I created my own. The materials that I'm using are Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton. You just need one skein of that. A crochet hook, G6, 4.25 millimeter, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape, yarn needle, and for myself, I'm using my Volare pillow. All right, we're gonna start from the bottom of the bag and work our way up. Begin by chaining 24 chains. Once you've reached that 24th chain, run your fingers down the chain to untwist any potential twisting that may have happened, and then slip stitch into the very first chain to create a circle or a ring. For round one, we're going to begin by chaining 2. Now this chain 2 does count as our very first double crochet stitch. We will then make another double crochet stitch in the same stitch that our chain 2 came out of. So the same slip stitch we made to close the ring. This is now an increased double crochet stitch. Make 1 double crochet stitch in the next 3 chains. The repeat pattern for round 1 is to make an increased double crochet stitch, or all that means is make 2 double crochet stitches in the same stitch, and then make 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Repeat this pattern, increase double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, all the way around for round 1. You should end with a total of 30 stitches. To close round 1, we are going to find the very beginning chain 2 that we made for that first double crochet stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into the second chain that we made, and this is going to close round 1. And this is what round 1 should look like. Round 2, we're going to begin by chaining 2. Again, this chain 2 counts as our first double crochet stitch. We will make a double crochet stitch in the same stitch that our chain 2 came out of, so the slip stitch that we made to close round 1. This is now an increased double crochet stitch. Now make 1 double crochet stitch in the next 4 stitches. The repeat pattern for round 2 is going to be make an increased double crochet stitch and then 1 double crochet stitch in the next 4 stitches. Increase double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. Repeat this pattern all the way around for round 2. You should end with a total of 36 stitches. Closing round 2, again slip stitch in the second chain of that beginning chain 2 that we made. And this is what round 2 should look like. On to round 3. Chain 2, again, counts as our first double crochet stitch. Double crochet in the first stitch, so we are now making an increased double crochet stitch again. And make 1 double crochet stitch in the next 5 stitches. The repeat pattern for round 3 is going to be increased double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Increase double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Repeat around, and you should end round 3 with a total of 42 stitches. To close round 3, slip stitch into the second chain of that beginning chain 2. And this is what round 3 should look like. Great, now section 1 of our plastic bag holder is complete. We're now moving on to the middle section of the plastic bag holder, which is a completely different stitch. I chose to utilize the triangle mesh stitch, which is really pretty, but also really airy and flowy. I'm going to begin the middle section with round 1 of the new pattern. I just didn't want you guys to be confused when I said round 1 again. Moving on to round 1 of the middle section. We haven't tied anything off. We're just continuing to move straight on. Chain 6. Now this chain 6 counts as our first treble crochet plus chain 3. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, skip the next 2 stitches, and treble crochet in the following stitch. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch, and then repeat. Between the stitches, we're going to chain 3. So chain 3, skip 2 stitches, treble crochet, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, single crochet. Make it a song and it becomes a rhythm and you remember it. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches, treble crochet, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, single crochet. Be very careful to watch that you don't make 2 treble crochets in a row and you don't make 2 single crochets in a row. We definitely want that pattern of treble and then single and then treble and then single. Repeat this pattern all the way around for round 1. To close round 1 of this treble mesh pattern, we're just going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 6 that we made. For round 2, we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the top of that same stitch that we just slip stitched into to close round 1. Chain 3. Now treble crochet on top of the single crochet stitch. Then chain 3 and single crochet on top of the treble crochet stitch. And repeat. Chain 3, treble crochet on top of single crochet stitch, chain 3, and then single crochet on top of treble crochet stitch. We're going to repeat this all the way around. To close round 2, slip stitch into the very first single crochet stitch that we made. Now, if you're somebody that needs a count to make sure you're staying on track, we should end every single round in this middle section with either 7 treble crochet stitches or 7 single crochet stitches. I hope that helps. For round 3 through round 36, all we're doing is repeating round 1 and round 2. Refer back to the pattern for some help, some aid, or go ahead and just rewind this video over and over so that way you can get the gist of what you need to do for round 1 and round 2. Now this section does take a little while, and this is when I really enjoy utilizing my Volare pillow because it makes crocheting for longer periods of time more comfortable. Once you've reached the end of round 36, we are now onto the top section of our plastic bag holder. So again, I will start over with round 1. For round 1, we will begin by chaining 2. Now this chain 2 does count as our very first double crochet stitch. Continue on making 1 double crochet stitch in every chain and every stitch all the way around. It's okay if we don't have the same number here. We're going to get close. It doesn't have to be exact. To close round 1, we're going to slip stitch into the second chain of that very first chain 2 and move on to round 2. Round 2 through round 4, all we are doing is chaining 2, again counts as our first double crochet stitch, and making 1 double crochet stitch in every stitch all the way around. Continue on and I will meet you at the end of round 4 to show you what we do next. Great. Once you've finished round 4, we're going to tie off the work, but we want to make sure that we leave a very long tail for sewing. Make sure that when you cut your yarn, you leave about 24 inches or 2 feet of yarn on your project, then cut the yarn and tie off the project. Set the current project off to the side, grab your yarn, and we're going to make the drawstring. Begin by chaining 24. Once you finish that 24th chain, run your finger across the chain, making sure you can get rid of any twisting that may have occurred, and slip stitch into the very first chain. We've now made a ring or a circle. What we're going to do next is we're going to thicken that ring or circle. Chain 1, and then slip stitch into every single chain all the way around. To close this ring, we're going to slip stitch into the very first slip stitch that we made and tie off our work. We can hold off on weaving in our ends for this moment, but we will be weaving in our ends. Take this drawstring and wrap it around the top of our plastic bag holder where we have the 4 rounds of double crochet stitches. Fold the 4 rounds in half over the drawstring. Take that really long tail that we left behind and weave it into a yarn needle. And now we're going to sew the round 4 to the round 1 of that top section. We want to actually wrap the section on the outside, not wrap it inward. Super important. We're going to continue sewing around the whole top until we get to approximately 2 inches away from where we started. We want to leave a gap. We want to leave a hole so that way the drawstring has room to move and to flow. Once we've reached that 2-inch mark, tie off the work. And now we can weave in all of our ends, including the end that we just made, and go to the drawstring, turn that string until you find those tails and weave in those as well, just to clean everything up. Now this last step is optional. You do not have to do it, though I think it adds some character and looks really cute. This would be adding the fringe to the top. Now I cut 100 4-inch long strips of yarn. This takes a second, but it's worth it. Insert your crochet hook from the bottom of the stitch to the top, and then take 2 of your 4-inch long strips, fold them in half, and loop them around the claw of your crochet hook. Pull the loop through the stitch, grab the tails of the loop with your crochet hook, and then pull the tails through the loop that you just made, and you just made a fringe. Repeat this all the way around your plastic bag holder. All right, now that the fringe has been added, let's trim it a bit. It's a bit long. I am trimming mine to about 3/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 of an inch. It's totally up to you on how long you want to keep your fringe. Now, Tiffany, why didn't we start with a shorter fringe? Why did we begin with such a long fringe? Well, we began with such a long fringe, so it was easier to attach the fringe. You try to attach fringe that is that short. It's tough. Something that I like to do, again, it's a little extra, but I think it is so worth it. I take a yarn needle and I separate out all the plies of the yarn, and it makes it look more like a solid fan. It's so cute. After you're done with the fringe, double check it, make sure it's even. Maybe you want to trim it a little bit. Weave in all of your ends, check your whole project, and then you're done. The project is complete. Ah, that looks better.